So we this hour we start at given goods. This is a very special kind of situation. So when famine occurs, when the whole world or when the country is running out of food, so basically you don't have anything else to eat. So when in Taiwan we talk about 1940s, 1950s, so what a lot of people don't have money to buy rice. So what do? They eat sweet potato. But when the rice become more expensive, right? Of course they won't be able to afford rice or meat. So what do? They eat more sweet potato. Okay, so this is one case about given goods. So even though sweet potato is very expensive, but people consume more. Okay? Another case is on cancer drugs. Okay, cancer. And there are some crazy stories in the US, because basically it's a free world. You can do whatever you want. If drugs becomes more expensive, of course, it's more expensive. And if you want to survive, what do? You need to buy more, right? And in this case, the demand curve will be vertical, okay? So sometimes people say pharmaceutical companies exploited patients, okay? But, well, it is very hard to say. But when people really, so that's the reason we call, if you have drugs, right? Usually drugs have monopoly, okay? Why they have monopoly? Because they have patent, okay? They have patent. So no one else can produce the drugs. So anyway, it's a very complicated story. And when we get to producer, and after we talk about perfect competition, then we will discuss monopoly and why monopoly is not very good. And perfect competition is the best way for a free society. And why we have anti-monopoly legislation. So try all sorts of things to stop people from abuse their monopoly power. But anyway, monopoly is also there to encourage people to innovate, okay, to invent things. Because you are the only producer, so that, well, you can enjoy a great profits. And that's the way to push you to invent a lot of things, okay? Okay, questions? We will get back to the book, okay? Let me turn this off. Okay, this time we stop at around chapter 2, okay? So here this is the case. The story is that there is a invention, okay, in new technology. So the production of silver, okay, because of the advance in technology, so increase in supply, okay, increase in supply. But because there is a substitute, okay, there's a substitute for silver, so demand for silver goes down, okay, because of the substitute invented. So the demand goes down. So we have two cases. The first one is increase in supply because of new technology. And when the second one is a new substitute comes out of the market, and so decrease in demand. So Wu Pen is not here. Liao Yuemin. So in this case, what happened to the price and quantity of the market? You have increase in supply and decrease in demand. What you get? In equilibrium. Go ahead. We have increase in supply and decrease in demand. So what will happen to the price and quantity? Excuse me? No, I'm talking about price and quantity. Price goes up, down. Quantity goes up or down.蔡文子. So supply increases, what happened to price and quantity? Price go. If supply increases, supply goes shift to the right, right? So what happened to price and quantity? Excuse me? Price goes up, my blood pressure goes up. 所以说 supply increases, what happened? Price goes down and quantity goes. So drawing picture is very important, right? Drawing picture. So you have supply, demand, right? And supply increases, supply goes shift to the right, then price gonna go down, quantity gonna go, quantity gonna go down. 黄建勋 price gonna go. Yes, price gonna go down, quantity gonna go up. Okay. 曾义涵. Okay. If demand decreases, what happened to price and quantity? Demand decreases. Demand decreases, demand goes shift to the right or left? Left. Okay, so what happened to price and quantity? Excuse me? Price down and quantity down. Okay, so two cases, right? Price definitely will go down, okay? Because price, supply increases, price goes down, quantity goes up, okay? And demand goes down, price goes down, quantity goes down. So price definitely gonna go down. What about quantity? Not so sure. Because when demand goes down, quantity goes down. But when supply increases, it goes up. So price goes down, that's for sure. Okay, but quantity uncertain. Okay? Okay, let's move on. So price ceiling, we talked about this before, right? Rent control and minimum wage. Okay, so these two kind of problems will be in your midterm. So, okay, so here, price ceiling, as I said, is kind of twisty. Okay, if you want to have a effective price ceiling, even though it's at the sounds like at the top ceiling, right? But it has to below the equilibrium price. Price floor, minimum wage, right? You want to have a effective minimum wage. It has to be above, even though we call it price floor. Okay? So here, this is the normal price, equilibrium price. But government says we want to subsidize your living cost. Okay, so we don't want people to charge too much on your housing. But you know, if you have such a low price, what happened? You have so many people, right, want to rent a house, so Q2, right? But because the price is just too low, the landlord would not like to offer a room for the students. So here you have excess demand. Too many people want to rent, too few landlords want to offer. So what you get? You get this kind of situation. So this happened. It is a little bit, sometimes it could be illegal. So for example, in the US, the landlord can discriminate against you, okay? Because, so for example, when I was in the US, the landlord probably, he had known many people, right? And so he just look at you and he gonna know what kind of person you are. You are nasty, okay, naughty, play around, party a lot, right? they can look at you and know who you are. And so when a person, okay, looks really bad, what can the landlord say? I don't want to give you a rent. I don't want to give you a house, okay? I don't want to give you a room. Or he can charge a high price, okay? But when the landlord sees someone that's really nice, then of course, like Asian people, basically, Asian people are kind of, have good impression to the American people. Seldom party a lot, seldom drink, smoke. This is all bad for the room, right? If you smoke too much, drink too much, necessarily you're going to abuse the room. And it happened actually to me. I overheard is that I shouldn't hear it, but when someone murmurs, I hear it. So the landlord called me a bookworm. What's a bookworm? Bookworm. So is book? If you're being called bookworm, is it good or bad? No idea. It means you study, right? You don't party, and that's good for his room, right? So anyway, so discriminate happens a lot in the U.S., but in Taiwan, because we all look the same, right? But in the U.S., you have Latino, you have African Americans. So anyway, a lot of things can happen. Okay, and here it is a different case. Okay, this is exact demand, and sometimes, okay, we should have an example about minimum wage. But anyway, let's stick to this one. So this case is exact demand. Too many people want to buy, right? And too few people offer. And here is the other case, okay? If you maintain a very high price floor, okay? Maintain a high price floor, what happens? Someone won't be able to get it, okay? Because in this case, the price is too high, okay? Anyway, let's look at, this is about Eastern Europe. We, forget about it. You can read a book. It is probably for most of you, it will be a little bit outdated. But, it is a good story anyway. Let us try. 谢新佑. What's the main features of Eastern Europe in your mind? What's the regime? What kind of political system is Eastern Europe? It is a communist, okay? In the past, it's communist. So they control price, control a lot of things. That's the reason the supply curve is a vertical line. They limit supply, okay? They limit supply. But in a free market like Taiwan, US, Japan, we don't have this kind of situation. So there's only limited amount of goods available. So what happened? It will be, price will be very high. Anyway, for this part, check your book. And here is an example of price floor, okay? It's different. When we have price ceiling, the price is just too low, and price floor is price too high, okay? So in this case, you have too many people want to supply, okay? Too many people want to supply, but too few people want to buy it, okay? Because the price is too high. So you have the opposite situation. When you have an effective price ceiling, you have excess demand, and here you have excess supply, okay? Okay, we mentioned elasticity, right? We have one question. Definitely, there will be one question on calculating arc elasticity, okay? Remember, we also mentioned that depending on the price elasticity of demand, you should have different strategy, right? If your products are price elastic, so the elasticity is greater than 1. If you want to get more money out of it, you should decrease the price, okay? If the product you sell is inelastic, if you want to increase your revenue, you should increase the price. We talk about this with algebra, okay, also with geometry. Okay, so see here, right? Remember when we've done this before? When this point is at the midpoint, the elasticity is equal to 1. And when the price goes up, what happened to the elasticity? The elasticity also goes up. And here, you get to the price axis here, the elasticity is infinite. When it goes down to the quantity axis, what you have? The elasticity is equal to 0. Okay? So when you move up, the elasticity goes up. Moves down, the elasticity goes down. Okay, I say, definitely there will be one question like this. Okay, here. Let me. Okay, here. Okay, there definitely will be one question like this. You have to calculate R elasticity. So, in exam, you can bring a calculator. Okay, in exam, you can bring your calculator. Okay, we mentioned this, right? Okay, so when it is price elastic, when the price goes down, actually you get more. The revenue increases. Okay? So here, a price increase causes total expenditure to decrease if your elasticity is greater than 1. So the product you sell is elastic. You should not increase the price. You will get hurt. But if you increase the price, it's good. Okay? And here, there are some elasticity of demand for the products. Okay, so here alcohol. So which one is greater? Chicken. I'm not sure why chicken. But salmon, okay, look at fresh salmon, the elasticity is higher. It is still food, right? It's still food. But fresh salmon, the price elasticity is higher. Why? Because salmon is an expensive food, right? It's expensive and very good food, okay? What else? Okay, you look at international air travel. It is inelastic, right? It's less than 1 because if you want to go to US, what else you can do? Swim? Probably not, right? You have to fly. Okay, so it is inelastic. And okay, here, look at this. This is international air travel. It is inelastic, right? What about vacation? It is elastic. So it's not, I mean, first of all, it's expensive, right? And you don't necessarily need to have airline vacation travel. You can just drive, right? Especially American people. Okay, let's move on. Let me see. Okay, this is the war on drugs. In Taiwan, it is not that critical, but in the US, because there are just too many people, you know, I'm not sure why, okay, maybe they have too much pressure, okay, so my advice to you is that if you go to the US for advanced study, and some people, you know, invite you for parties, you've got to be very careful. Generally, for college or, you know, master program students, it should be fine. But somehow there's some people, you know, just so into drugs. If it is not for drugs, it will be alcohol. Okay, 说一种 what's alcohol? Right. So they, I mean, when they drink, it's just crazy. Okay, let us turn to the story. Okay, so what's the story here? So S1 is here, and S2 is here. So assume this is the original supply of drugs. But let us say the government had a campaign on cracking down the drug dealers. Okay, so what happened? if you crack down on the drug dealers, so the drug dealers will be caught and put in jail, right? So the supply for drugs will go down, okay? Supply of drugs goes down, price goes up, and quantity goes down, right? That's exactly what we hope, to get rid of the drugs on the street. And this will be nice too, right? Okay, because drugs becomes more expensive, it is, I mean, for the consumers, the drug buyers will be poorer, right? So they won't be able to buy as much. So that sounds like good news. And here, if you just have a campaign on catching the drug dealers, that's not enough. So we have education, right? Education teaching people that consuming drug is not good. So you have demand decreases for drugs. Okay, if we have effective campaigns on not buying drugs or on reducing drugs. Okay, so basically this is a very important issue in the U.S. But in Taiwan it's getting more seriously. Okay, a lot of people, especially marijuana. I want to warn you, even though marijuana is, sorry, Wang Xiuhui, what's marijuana? 2 words. The first word is big. Big, what's big? Anyway, 李玉祥. Louder. Right, exactly. Marijuana is actually for, some people, if they have cancers, and that's really hurting them, in terms of physically and psychologically. So consuming marijuana can reduce the pain level. So it is not for everyone. But unfortunately, marijuana in most states of the United States is now legal. But anyway, in Taiwan, I suppose we should keep it illegal, okay? It is not good. Okay, let's move on. Okay, perfectly inelastic. We draw vertical line here, right? If it is vertical, okay, it's vertical, it's perfectly inelastic. The elasticity is equal to 0. And if it is perfectly elastic, okay, that is horizontal. Okay, this is horizontal. So here, perfectly inelastic, perfectly elastic. And he talked about, constant elasticity. That means the elasticity is equal to 1. You can do this back home. It should be a good exercise. But sorry, it takes calculus to do it. So anyway, I don't want to talk about it here. So if you have questions about this, you can visit me at my office hour. Okay. Let's forget about this part. I'm not sure why. Okay, here we have elasticity of demand, right? Income elasticity of demand. So that means here it is income. And we say it's not that important to calculate it, but the sign, okay, the sign is important. Positive means the good is normal. Negative means the good is inferior, okay? And cross-price elasticity, the calculation is also not that important, but the sign is important. If it is positive, okay, positive, it is the 2 goods are substitute. If it's negative, the 2 goods are complements. And basically, if we really want to know something about elasticity of supply, we will wait until the study of producers' behavior. Okay, so here, the calculation is the same, but the implication is not that clear here. So when we talk about producers, we will talk more about this. Okay, so some income elasticity. Okay, so here, salmon it is a good food, right? So the more you have, the higher your income, you eat more. Computers, peaches, apples, eggs, okay? Eggs is not that elastic, okay? Okay, let me check this. 陈子帅, you look at this, right? College education, the income elasticity is 0.55. What does that mean? No. This is income elasticity. It is positive, right? So it is still normal goods. But it is a good choice for people. This is in the US, okay? This is in the US. I suppose if it is in Taiwan, it should be much greater than 1, because Taiwanese people emphasize more about education. But let me put it this way. Probably most of you, your tuition is paid by your parents, right? In the US, generally you have to earn your own tuition. So when I was in the US, 80%, it could be more. 80% of students are working part-time to pay for their tuition. So that means, I'm not sure, but they emphasize college education, but well, in comparison to Taiwanese, it's different. Just like my father, my father said, if you want to study for a doctor, I will pay for you. And so he tried to make as much more money as he could, right? And then send me to the US. So cigarette is negative, so that's inferior good. That's good for health, right? So your income goes up, you consume less of cigarette. So why ground beef? I'm not sure. What's ground beef? What's ground beef? Have you eaten hamburger? The kind of beef is generally ground beef. Yun Xiang, can you tell us what's ground beef? No. You grind it. Anyway. Yes, exactly. Okay. Good. Okay, so this cross price elasticity, we say cross price elasticity is about substitute and complement, right? Positive, substitute. Negative, complement. So salmon and frozen salmon. So what's that? Substitute. Pepsi and Coca-Cola, right? It is also substitute, but the relationship is not that great. Okay. 高嘉燕, which one is more popular in the US, Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola? Are you sure? Probably not. But excuse me, you're sure? I'm sure. Oh, not sure, okay. In Taiwan, it's so strange. How many of you have drunk Pepsi-Cola? Raise your hand. Pepsi? 1. Coca-Cola? It should be more, right? But in the US, that's a different story. And also, we have 2 fast food restaurants, Burger King and McDonald's, right? So which one is more popular in the US? Probably Burger King. But here we only have so few. Maybe, in the whole island of Taiwan, we probably have only 3 Burger King. But in the US, there are much more. And, personally, I really prefer Burger King to McDonald's. McDonald's, so strange. Okay. So let us check homework, okay? Check homework. Chapter 2. Oops. Okay, question 1. 谢谢你有 question 1. page 44. Of course, it asks you to draw a diagram, right? But just tell me,